am Gary Parrish. Welcome back. CBS Sports Eye College Basketball Podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo birds, and leaky black. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, be Brandon Davies. Smash it a little bit. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the Eye College Basketball Podcast, please go ahead and subscribe to that wherever you subscribe to podcasts like Apple and Spotify. Let's get into it. And obviously, there's only one place to start on this Wednesday morning. The place is Allen Fieldhouse. Final score, Kansas 84, Iowa State 63, roughly 8 hours after I suggested on CBS Sports Network that Iowa State could be the last remaining team in college basketball. The Cyclones went out and they lost to Kansas inside Allen Fieldhouse, and the game was never close. Shucks. I missed again. Norlander, the floor is yours. Iowa State is now 16-1. I was wrong.
Just what? You know, if you didn't watch the Tuesday show on Network or hitting the feed yet,
I hope you didn't. I hope you did,
because it makes the show that much more entertaining. No one forced you to say Iowa State would be the last undefeated team, but you're like, what the hell?
I'm seriously thinking about, like, I need to talk to a therapist about what I've been doing, because, like, in the past, like, week plus, like, I remember who I used to be. I remember what I was. You ever lose track of yourself? I used to be that guy. You ever lose track of yourself?
I try not to.
We all should, but sometimes you lose track of yourself. I remember a version of me that was like on average 46% Boilermaker and an undeniable building truster. And I have found myself in the past week plus suggesting that maybe, just maybe, Bennett Sturtz belongs on a first-team All-American, like a roster, more than Braden Smith at Purdue. That's damaged my relationship, perhaps in ways that can't be fixed, with Purdue fans. And then, like, I'm a building truster. You know me.
Apparently not.
I sit here yesterday and picked against Allen Fieldhouse. I have picked against Braden Smith and Allen Fieldhouse within the past week plus. I don't even know who I am anymore. I've lost my way. You just
don't get it, do you? You don't.
I've lost my way. I've lost my way. I need to look in the mirror. I need to do some soul searching. I've lost my way. I'm not proud of who I've become.
Yeah, I tell you, the only building that I do trust is the one in Lawrence, Kansas, and damn, did it show up again on Tuesday night. I was, of course, in Newark. We'll get to the UConn Seton Hall stuff in a little bit, but I was watching not all, plenty of this game, obviously had post-game press conference stuff and all that stuff, but it felt effectively over in the first half anyway. Parrish, Kansas 84, Iowa State 63. It was the most points Iowa State has allowed this season. Bill Self is now 26-22 when he plays a top 5 team. To be above 500 in your career with, nearly 50 results against top 5 competition is incredible. Credit to OptaStats for this nugget. Kansas's win on Tuesday night was the, quote, largest win by any Division I team against an opponent that was 16-0 or better entering the game since February 26th, 1972, when Detroit beat 22-0 Marquette by 21 points. That was pre-Dick Vitale Detroit, if you are curious. Couple more notes. Kansas's margin of victory on Tuesday night was its largest against a top 5 team since 1995. January 28, 95, when it beat UConn 88-59. And what a significant win for the Jayhawks. They shot well, hit what? 10 threes, 13, they had 12 threes, 7 in the first half. They had ISU down by 21 at the break. And I know ISU made a little bit of run coming out of the intermission, but didn't matter. Trey White was awesome. Darren Peterson had, I'm not going to call it a ho-hum game, but he didn't need to be an absolute stud in this one. And I thought this was a key result for Kansas. Get back to your ways of showing the Big 12 that you can be a force to be reckoned with, coming off the loss, the no doubt about it loss against West Virginia on the road. And here you go, 84-63. You knock the number of unbeatens from 5 down to 4. And in the process, level out at 2-2 in Big 12 play, with Baylor coming to town next on Friday. You were in studio in Midtown Manhattan. What did you make of what went down at the Fog?
Well, first and foremost, I don't think anybody needed to win on Tuesday night more than Kansas needed to win on Tuesday night. Just not because a win would propel them into the top 10 or a loss would knock them out of the projected brackets, but because you're Kansas. And you're not supposed to, after having your worst year under Bill Self, followed by your new worst year under Bill Self, then start 1-3 in the Big 12, because all the things that people have been saying, whispering, they just get more emphasized because here's another year that's not going the way it's supposed to go. So I thought last night was massive for that program and for Bill. And they showed up. Like you said, the game was never close. I guess it was 0-0 to start by definition, but Kansas took control of it quickly and never, ever, ever let go of it. Yeah, Iowa State made a run beginning of the second half that cut it to a place where you were like, okay, look, maybe, but then it was never any closer than that. Darren Peterson wasn't great, but he still had those moments where it was like, okay, there it is. I see it. You always have to remind yourself of this. There are people who work in the NBA. They do this for a living. Their careers revolve around it, selecting players. And we have seen AJ DeBonsa be awesome. We've seen it game after game after game. Nobody's done this in the Big 12 as a freshman other than Trae Young. We talked about that just the other day. He's unbelievable. Cameron Boozer, unbelievable. Darius Acuff. You go through this freshman class, it is locked and loaded, arguably the best freshman class of all time. And yet when you talk to anybody who works in the NBA, even while Darren Peterson was sitting on the bench, coming out of games, holding his legs, they said, that's the guy. You don't pass on him. He's the number 1 pick in the draft. And though Tuesday night wasn't the best example of that, there were still moments in that game, a little floater at the elbow, a pull-up 3 in somebody's eye that, you don't even take that. And he took it confidently and buried it. There were so many moments in the game where it was just okay, that's it. And so we'll see where it goes going forward. But he spoke to the media after the game. That's not new, but it's rare in the season. And it seems like that program is moving past all of the stuff that's sucked all the energy out of everything throughout November and December. And it seems like Darren Peterson's going to be available, fingers crossed, 30 whatever minutes per game going forward. And if you've got one of the best coaches ever and one of the best talents ever, because that's the way people describe Darren Peterson, and enough pieces around him, they've got an opportunity to maybe not win the Big 12, but certainly not be all of the things that people have been saying Kansas basketball might be in recent weeks. And so I thought last night was massive for them, and they showed up.
Yeah. On that note, on where they wind up, that's our poll question. We'll get to that in a few. What seed will Kansas have when we actually start the Big 12 tournament in mid-March? As for Peterson meeting with the media, I actually think that is notable. It was time to end that. I believe he had not met with the media since Big 12 media.
Let me stop you there. I sat down with him at Big 12 Media Day. We did a one-on-one on camera. You can find that on YouTube on the Ion College Basketball. He was a pleasant, impressive young man. And everything I've ever heard about him is that he's a pleasant, impressive young man. Bill Self talks about him. You were there. Bill Self, on camera, Bill Self talks about him glowingly. Off camera, Bill Self talks about him perhaps even more glowingly. Yeah. And so. But the point I was going to make is I saw somebody say this is the first time he's talked to the media since Big 12 Media Day, and then I saw that corrected
Okay.
and suggested that maybe he did talk after the North Carolina game. Either way, he hasn't talked much, so last night was cool.
Appreciate the correction there, because I saw that going around last night as well, and it made my eyebrows perk up, because I'm like, really? Hasn't talked to the media, period. But he wouldn't have played in a lot of games. There would have been reason for him not necessarily to have been plopped down at a table or at a dais. But good game out of him. Trey White doing what he did in this game, specifically in particular. A lot of encouraging signs about, and I know the home crowd was that they had a game plan. They executed it. They played well. Kansas is not especially deep. I think that's going to bite them plenty in league play here, but that was impressive. On the Iowa State side, you get picked off. I know that building, generally speaking, is a bugaboo, as is for your program, as it is for most programs, but you're off to a 16-0 start. You're 16-1. The schedule does benefit you more than not, in my opinion, over the next couple of weeks. So it will not surprise me if we get to the end of the month and Iowa State still only has one loss. Shrug it off. It's tough to win there. Good league. Yeah, you didn't have your best night, so goes it. Kansas needed it way more than ISU did, and if anything, it makes what we talked about on Tuesday's network show, the expectation that this is going to be just one awesome league race that could very well end with multiple teams finishing atop the ledger. Kansas winning the way that it did just brought that much more intrigue to it, unquestionably, because now you put up a game like this, you put that on tape, and everyone knows what you are capable of on on any given night.
I said it on Tuesday's network show. It seems more clear after last night. You could finish 4th or 5th in the Big 12 and win the national championship. And not like, oh, wow, can you believe NC State's in the Final Four? Not like one of those things. It could be like you finish 4th or 5th in the Big 12, and then AJ DeBonsa just runs you through the tournament, and you're like, well, I guess that was Carmelo Anthony back in 2003. You can this league. We can debate, and we probably will on a Tuesday show, leagues and teams within leagues and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know that any league has more legitimate, can reasonably, realistically win the national championship than the Big 12. And two of those teams were on display last night. One, because it's 16-1 even after last night with a 23-point win at Purdue. If you do those things, you can win the whole thing. And the other one's got Bill Self and Darren Peterson. And if you got Bill Self and Darren Peterson, maybe you can win the whole thing. So I thought that was clearly the most interesting result from last night. And if you're Iowa State, yeah, you don't like that happening. But if you're TJ, you just, I think, walk into the locker room today and emphasize exactly what you just said. Guys, we've played 17 games. We're 16-1. And our only losses is a place that for 20 years, nobody ever won anyway. We're fine. And they are fine. But that was a big result on Tuesday night.
Want to get to where I was and kind of bounce around a little bit. A fairly populated Tuesday night. I don't know if it was as noisy as I was expecting, but I will tell you, GP, second half was a lot more tense than I was anticipating after UConn got up early. So let's get a word from our partners, Josh, and then after that we'll lead the bounce around, the whip around with UConn holding on against Seton Hall.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus comes out swinging. Yes. Show-stopping highlight machine Justin Gaethje collides with Liverpool phenom Paddy Pimblett in a must-see main event for the interim lightweight belt.
This is how I get down.
And Hall of Famer Amanda Nunes returns.
She's the best ever.
To take on bantamweight champion Kayla Harrison in the biggest women's title fight of all time. UFC 324, Saturday, January 24th, only on Paramount Plus.
All right, it's time for the Wednesday Whiparound. Norlander, let's start in Newark, where you watched UConn hang on and win at Seton Hall. But if people are wondering how my night went, UNLV Boise State went to overtime.
I know, and nothing that guy right there loves more than a Tuesday night Mountain West bonus session of some free ball.
Man, I love Josh Pastner. I swear to God I do. But, buddy, you got to foul up 3 at the end of regulation. We had a whole crew. You know how much money you made, the crew, last night, working time and a half? You made a union crew lots of money last night. So they were like, they're cool with it. They don't care. They're getting whatever they get. They're getting it. I know that at a certain point, the clock hits a certain point, and buddy, they're like flashing. They're like a rapper with a cash money phone
with
up to their ear.
With the money brick up against the air.
Yes. So at some point, UNLV Boise State going to overtime is incredibly helpful to the crew. So I'm for that. I love those people. But my check doesn't change. I'm just sitting there.
Your check is just fine, by the way.
Buddy, we were in there till like 2:00 in the morning. I don't think I got back to my hotel till 2:30. I'm talking about true story. Roy Hibbert is the nicest man on the planet. I don't know if people know that. Roy Hibbert is one of the best college basketball bigs we've had in my adult life. He is also one of the nicest and just best humans I know. He's like I wish he was my next door neighbor. Not that I have anything against my current next door neighbors. I like them too. But like if you could put another house somewhere near me, I want Roy Hibbert and his family to live there. They're awesome. I swear to you, I think Roy would confirm this. That ball went through the rim at the buzzer of regulation. And I don't even think I've ever heard Roy yell in my whole life. And Roy goes, F. It was outrageous. But UNLV prevailed in overtime. So congrats to them. Nice win. My favorite pair of shorts that I own to this day are Boise State shorts. So I'm not rooting against them. But I am rooting against anything other than 40 minutes of regulation in the third game of a triple header. I went to bed at 5:00. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Look at this guy. You really fell asleep at 5 a.m.?
It was somewhere between the last thing I remember is 4:30, and I don't remember 5. So it's got to be somewhere between 4:30 and 5. Yeah, that's fine with me. It seems reasonable. I think my eyes tell that story.
They're actually doing okay. I've seen way worse. Let's take a tour through the night, and yeah, we'll go to Newark. I was there. UConn was a little bit back and forth in the first 10 or 12 minutes of the first half, and then UConn goes on a big run, 18-3, close out the half. Our buddy Andy Katz was there doing sideline, and I didn't obviously hear it because I'm in the arena, but he does the hit going into the break, and I'm going to paraphrase here because then Katz comes over, he's laughing, he's like get a load of what Dan just said, and essentially Andy said this team is built to come back, it's done it. What are you guys going to do? And Hurley essentially said, if we play the way we did, they're not coming back. Well, they did come back. They got it to 1 with less than a minute to go. I was thinking back over it, and I was talking to some folks before the game. I'm pretty sure this was the first time that I ever covered a Seton Hall regular season game at the Rock. Some years they're just not even remotely good enough to make it worth it. Sometimes if they have a game that's worth it, it lands on a night where I'm just doing other stuff. I just had never done it. So this was the first time I'd been there to see that. They're ranked, obviously a ranked on ranked game, a big game for Seton Hall. You win here, big for the reputation. I actually thought would have been better for the Big East if Seton Hall had won this game. So I was happy to be in the building. I was happy we actually wound up getting a close game. They fill it up pretty well in the lower bowl there. Students are back at classes at the hall today. So the student section was filled. They live 15, 20 minutes away from the arena, and a really good, a really fun scene, but UConn is able to hold on. And why does it hold on? Despite an ugly game overall, Silas Demery Jr., I think, is the biggest reason. Now, you look at the box score, and he had 8 points, but he went 4 from 4 from the foul line in the final minute. He was 6 of 6 from freebies. UConn overall, 16 of 26 from 3-point range. UConn 3 of 17. Seton Hall was even worse, 1 of 16. So a brutal showing from beyond the arc. Seton Hall made its one and only 3-pointer to cut the lead 2-1 in the final minute when Mike Williams III hit that tray. He actually tried another 3. Braylon Mullins, Johnny on the spot, gets a ball on it, deflects it. Then it becomes a scramble. Demery ends up with the ball. He hits 2 more foul shots that gives the game its final margin, 69-64. Terrace Reed had a really nice night, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Seton Hall's now 14-3. It had won 4 in a row in that building against UConn. Yes, even the championship winning UConn teams had taken L's there. I talked to Hurley about that afterward, and he said, this wasn't something I was thinking about in the summer or in the preseason or even last month. But then you get, 2-3 days out, you got your media availability. The press is telling you about this has happened. He goes, then the chip gets implanted in the brain. And it was, I thought it was the latest, the lead of my column overnight was a lot of this season about UConn is exercising the demons from a year ago when, UConn wasn't bad. As a reminder, it was not a bad team a year ago. It was just a team that had expectations proudly of winning 3 in a row, NCAA titles, couldn't get it done, had a very noisy offseason that continued even into the regular season. And now they've atoned for the non-conference portion. And now they've ended the losing streak against Seton Hall. They're exercising the demons, unquestionably so. And I'm not going to say it was impressive. It was just the latest example of how UConn is winning in a variety of ways. I wasn't on the show last week to even talk about the UConn Providence win a week ago in overtime, which was wild and included Dan Hurley getting a technical foul outside of his locker room in the back bowels of that arena. So we've had some bumpiness to start 2026, but 17-1. And the most surprising stat you may hear today, or you heard it last night, UConn 7-0 in league play. That program has not started 7-0 in conference since 1998-99. Yes, it's true. And that was obviously the year they won their first national championship. Now we see them pacing toward being a very firm contender to go for number 7.
Well, it's about time they got back to their winning ways.
They are back to their winning ways. Indeed.
It's about time they did something. It's about time that program accomplished something.
Okay.
The Braylon Mullins block,
yeah.
I don't mean this literally, but you'll get the point. That's the type of thing that moves him up 6 spots in a mock draft. Because everybody knows the things that he can do. I don't think many people know he can move like that, recover like that, get to that place. And that's the type of thing that makes you come out of your chair a little bit and okay, that's different. He can do that. That's how you go from being wherever somebody thought you were going to be picked on Tuesday morning to wherever somebody thinks you might be picked on Wednesday morning. That was more impressive, or at least more interesting than any of the shots he might make. But that UConn team's awesome. What I said last night on Inside College Basketball is coming into last season, most of us, wrong as we were, thought that UConn had a realistic chance to go back to back to back. And we learned very early in Maui that team could be good, and it was good. It was a good team, but it wasn't going to do that. This team can do that. This team can win a national championship. It was pretty clear by December 1, UConn was not going to go back to back to back. They weren't going to three-peat. But can UConn win 3 national championships in a 4-year span? The 4-year span we're in right now? Yeah, they can do that. And you saw it in person last night. I don't think you disagree with me, do you?
I don't know. They can definitely win 3 and 4. I've believed that essentially since it's been there. I mean, the win at Kansas in the moment there. I saw the Florida win in person. The Florida one's really what did it for me. At that point, they got to 9-1. Now they're 17-1. The only loss is by 4 at home with no Mullins and no Reed on the floor in that game against a very good Arizona team. That takes nothing away from Arizona. It's just the only loss that UConn has to this point in the post-game press conference. I've been guilty of this. I'm sure you have as well. Adam Zagoria does a really good job covering, NYC area. Allman Brothers. He's excited for Goose at the Garden in June. Talks some Bob Weir, but he was winding up a question, and sometimes you wind up a question, and then the way it lands, you're kind of like, it's not exactly the way I wanted to get it out. So he essentially asked Dan if he wished he had won the Arizona game, and Dan was like waiting for the question to finish, and he chuckled. He's like, "Yeah, Zags, I wish we won that game." So
it's fun. This makes me laugh so hard because Brent Stover and I have this running joke early in the season. I can't remember what team it was, but I swear to God, we were on set, and this team that was supposed to be good, whatever it is, we'll figure it out later. But this team that was supposed to be good had not been so good. They'd lost some games they weren't supposed to lose. And Stove looks at me, and it was a total re-tee. So we're just like trying to get to a break. You know how TV works. And it was just like producers in his ear. Like Jim Hildebrand's probably in his ear being like, hey, re-tee GP on something. And because we need 45 more seconds. And he's like, GP. And he's just off. He's just talking. And he goes, it was this one team. And he goes, so GP, if this team, whatever team it was, if they would have won this game and that game, like, would the narrative be different connected to them? And I was like, yeah, Stove, if they were undefeated, people would think they're better than they are with 3 losses. Same type of thing. Like, people are calling this team disappointing, but if they'd have won this game and this game, what would be the conversation then? Well, they'd be undefeated and people would be calling them awesome.
That's how this works.
That's how it works.
That's correct.
The best. He's got his
was
hair commercial going. Like, we can't even sit in studio. You can't watch Sunday Night Football. Here comes Stove with a hair commercial. He's a star.
Yeah, good on him, by the way. Good on him. No question. We love you, Stove. But that being the only loss for UConn, yes, they can go 3 out of 4. And only other tag from this, and then we can keep it moving. Hurley did tell me, I got him in the locker room afterward saying one of our guys played loose and this was important. This is a quad 1 opportunity. He's just not going to be diplomatic about this, and nor should he be. He said, we're just not going to have that many opportunities in league play to get quad 1 wins. He is correct about that. Now, he did talk up St. John's and Villanova, and both of those teams got wins on Tuesday, which benefits the general objective for the Big East to target 4 teams in the tournament. That, I think, that needs to be the goal. They'll get at least 3. I'm almost positive of it. 5 would be a long shot. 4, I think, is still possible. But this was it, because next up for UConn is at Georgetown, not a quad 1 game. Home to Nova. That is, I don't think, a quad 1 game at this point. That's next Saturday, but a really good opportunity. But home to Providence, not a quad 1 game. At Creighton will be. Home to Xavier won't be. At St. John's will be. At Butler probably won't be. Home to Georgetown won't be. Home to Creighton will not be. At Nova will be. Home to St. John's, we'll see. Home to Seton Hall likely won't be. And then at Marquette will not be. So right now, UConn is 5-0 on the road. That's the best road record of any high major team. In fact, the only other team that has a better road record, period, is Miami, Ohio, which got to 18-0 on Tuesday night. Best record in the sport. It's 8-0 in road games. Maybe GP will get him into the top 25-1 by the end of the month. I don't know what to tell you. Wally, you gotta be much harder on GP at this point. Get my 18-0. Get him in the top 25-1. It's the only team right now that has a better road record than UConn, and UConn right now is tied for second in Q1 victories with like 6 or 7 other teams. It has 5.
It's on my radar, and I can succumb to peer pressure. So we'll see how it goes. Okay. Let's move on. Number 8, Nebraska 90, Oregon 55. 2 different Cornhuskers made 7 3-pointers in the game. Nebraska is now 17-0, 21-game winning streak dating back to last season. That last night was the most lopsided victory for Nebraska over a Big Ten school since they joined the Big Ten in 2011. The Fred Hoiberg Cornhusker story continues to get more and more interesting. Yeah,
I mean, if it had won, just to keep the story going, that's plenty interesting. 17-0, and Oregon's down, but 90-55, right, doing it the way that it did it. And Nebraska's not a team that kills you by the 3. It's not a super reliable 3-point shooting team. It takes a lot, but it's not. Let me see where they're at. Nebraska, as of this morning, is 108th in 3-point accuracy. So by no means terrible, but just not a top level or even a second level 3-point shooting team. And they get it done here to get to 17-0. Next up is Northwestern on Saturday. Northwestern's 8-8, not that good, but that team has had a proclivity of knocking off some really good opponents in that building in recent years. We'll see what happens there. Oregon, I had this last week in the court report. I had them at that point. They were 8-7. Now they're 8-9. I had them as one of the most disappointing teams in the country. I had Oregon basically top 25 level in the preseason, and this is just fallen off. I saw that team do nothing in the Players era, go 0-3 there, and now it's lost at Rutgers, home to Ohio State, at Nebraska. guess what? Next up, they're home, but Michigan comes to town. Michigan State comes to town. And then you get the rivalry game against Washington waiting after that. So it's going the wrong way for Dana Altman. I had someone ask me in the past 48 hours if I thought Dana Altman was on his was in his last season essentially, and would this be it? I don't know, but a season that goes this poorly can certainly swing it one way. But we'll see if it'll probably be his decision given how much time he spent there. But he does not have these kind of seasons. In fact, Dana Altman sneakily has never had ever a sub 500 season in his career, and now that is suddenly on the table.
Dana's been awesome, like incredible career, and it just like last night reminded me of like I sat down with him at Big Ten Media Day, and I think it was shortly after Jackson Shelstead had suffered some sort of preseason injury that was clearly going to make him unavailable for the beginning of the season, but might have him back by player's error or something like that. And this quote stood out to me. I said, so what's that going to be like? You know, Jackson's out, you know, whatever. And Dana said, Jackson will be fine. I don't know that we will be, or the injury won't hamper him. Yeah, this stinks, but he'll be okay. I don't know that we'll be okay without him. It just sort of stood out. Like I could sense some, like without that guy, it's going to be hard. And I say that to say he didn't play again last night. Mm-hmm. He missed his 4th straight game. So he was out of the lineup early, and he's been out of the lineup lately. And that's how Oregon, through 17 games, has its worst start in 15 years at 8-9. Oregon, like they played 17 games. Literally no player on Oregon's roster has played 17 games. So the team has played 17, but nobody's appeared in all of them. The leading scorer has missed 3. The second leading scorer has missed 5. It's a situation where if healthy, they could be good. I think I had them in the top 25-1 preseason at some point, perhaps all the way to opening day. If healthy, this is a good basketball team, but they have quite literally this season never been healthy, and that's not the type of season you want to have at this point in your career.
Elsewhere in the Big Ten, Michigan State won 81-60, and I'm pretty sure this game was 53 up, and then Michigan State proceeds to blast Indiana out of Breslin. Jeremy Fears, 23-10. Another really impressive performance by the Spartans, just stacking wins, and the kind of game for Fears where he has been, in my estimation, in a great year for point guards. He has just consistently been in that top 3 all season long, and if he was ever flirting of falling down to the 4 or 5 spot, a surge right back up there after what he did on Tuesday night. Really impressive. The Hoosiers, I think, we weren't expecting them to win in this spot, but as a result of this loss, Michigan State now 15-2. Indiana has lost back-to-back games, home to Nebraska, at Michigan State, next home to Iowa, then at Michigan, at Rutgers, home to Purdue. This is the stretch where we find out if the Hoosiers will be a tournament team in year 1 under Darren DeVries. I remember in the preseason, this was the team that I was most right there on the fence. Which way is the wind going to blow? Are they going to be in the tournament or not in the tournament? And I think in the preseason, I said, okay, I'm going to say they're narrow. They're going to get in. They'll go to Dayton. As of right now, I actually don't think that'll be the case. I think they're going to miss the tournament, but they can prove me wrong if they can peel off Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers, Purdue. Actually, then let's even include 2 more GP. Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers, Purdue, at UCLA, at USC. Those are the next 6. The wins will change if they can go 4-2 in that stretch, but I don't have confidence that'll actually wind up being what happens.
Cohen Carr delivered another highlight reel dunk. He's the guy, right? He's that guy. Is he that guy in basketball now? Is he the dunker in basketball now?
Good question.
At any level.
Right. He very well may be. And I haven't thought about it. I actually would love to just do a thought experiment on this. He seems to be moving into like one of the 10 best in-game dunkers in college I've ever seen. Like it is violent. It is joyous. It is charismatic. It is athletic. just Michigan State plays. I want to see that guy on the break with everyone chasing behind him at least once a game. And he doesn't even need to be doing it on the break because he can do it in traffic, but he did it again. And one of, 5 or 6 facets to that team that make Michigan State a viable national title contender.
Oh, he can do it anyway. Like bounce it to him in transition, throw it up, let him go get it. I mean, the vertical's outrageous, and he delivers over and over again. He's fun to watch. And Michigan State is like, they're doing it. I don't know how good Indiana is. There was a point in the season where I thought that's an NCAA tournament team, and now I understand where you're coming from. Perhaps not, but Michigan State handled them very little issues, and perhaps that says something about Indiana, but it says also something about Tom has been pretty clear that he does not know whether the way he's running his program now is the way you need to run it, should run it in 2026, but it's the way he wants to run it, and he's going to keep doing it. And if it stops working, he'll just walk out like everybody else his age does. But it's working right now. That Michigan State team is good, and that was an impressive performance on Tuesday night. Let's move on. Number 16, Virginia, 79. Number 20, Louisville, 70. Mikel Brown missed his 7th straight game with what has been described as a back injury. Louisville's 3-4 in that stretch. Let's stop right there for a second.
Yep.
We have mostly focused on Darren Peterson missing games as a 5-star freshman, but now that conversation has turned to Mikel Brown. What do you make of what's going on there?
Well, back injuries can be so debilitating regardless of your age, but you and I are well past the age of 40 at this point, and so we really know what that feels like, even though
dude, I don't mean to interrupt you, except I did it very intentionally.
It's all good.
But I had a moment in the past 24 hours, and I've never had this thought. You have no idea what kind of thoughts run through my head all day long.
I don't need to know.
You don't need to know. But this one ran through my head yesterday for the first time ever. I was like, I think I'm going to need hip replacement surgery. Why do you even think that? I don't even know how that pops into your head. But my hip's just hurting, and it's not hurting like I bumped it or like I did something. It's hurting like it's deteriorating. That's what I feel. I feel like my hip is deteriorating, and that's a wild thing to have to have to realize walking down 8th Avenue. I just was just walking down 8th Avenue, just thinking a little bit, trying to collect my thoughts. And I was like, I might need off-season hip surgery. Anyway, getting old, I guess getting old is better than not getting old by definition. But
Sure.
But buddy, you ain't lived till it's just randomly popped in your head that you think you might need to explore hip surgery.
See if we can push that off a season or 2 more. Let's get a second and third opinion before we.
I'm going to need that. Right now, it's only based on my opinion, but
but you are a doctor. So.
Right now, it's based on nothing more than my opinion. But I feel something. I feel so. Darren Peterson sometimes feels something.
I know. We've
it's like that.
DP and GP live in the same life. I understand.
We're basically living the same life. That's been clear for a while now. Look at us.
Yeah.
DP and GP are basically living the same life. He's just got better hair.
And that's the only difference.
Only difference between me and Darren Peterson is he's got obviously, undeniably better hair.
3-4 for Louisville without Brown on the floor. Is that what you said?
That's true. 3-4
Yep.
in the past 7 without him.
Yep. Not an NCAA tournament team if he's not in the lineup. That's what we know right now. We'll see if Louisville can change that. We'll see when he can come back. The back injury is something to not mess around with. Louisville's at Pitt, not good. Home to Virginia Tech should be winnable. At Duke on Monday, January 26th, and then home to SMU, which is a quality team. When are we getting Mikel Brown Jr. back? Is it going to be this weekend, or is this going to be lingering a week from now and even more? But Louisville is now 12-5, can't get it done at home, and yeah, that is an affecting loss in a significant way. This team is not a top 25 team right now, and meanwhile on the other side. Okay, Virginia wins.
Yeah.
Okay, 15-2.
Right.
We did our Coach of the Year draft on the Tuesday show. The coach that I kept off only because I was like, you know what? Maybe they'll lose Tuesday night. The coach I kept off was Odom. 15-2. Virginia has a top 20 offense, a top 20 defense, really good rebounding team, good size, shoots it from 3, shoots a ton from 3. and they haven't faced, I guess, the meat of the schedule yet, but they're kind of entering it to it now. At Louisville, at SMU is next this weekend, home to North Carolina. They don't have Duke on the road until near the end of the season, but this is right away. We're flipping the script. We're getting back to where we should be. Virginia is a quality team and is now, as virtue of this win, even with no Brown on the floor, has now entered into the conversation legitimately. You get the win on the road at Louisville, you're there. 4-1 in the league, ACC contender. So Duke, Carolina, Virginia, you got to knock Louisville out of that conversation. You could put Miami in there for now. That's both Miami's won on Tuesday night. The Hurricanes won at Notre Dame. Miami is also 15-2 under Jay Lucas in his first season, 4-0 in the league. Clemson is also there. We might have something relatively intriguing brewing in the ACC overall, but Virginia, yeah, really impressive and a team to be reckoned with. They will unquestionably be wearing home whites on that first Thursday or Friday of the NCAA tournament.
So let me make sure I'm hearing you right. Are you saying that you stopped yourself from saying something that you might have believed on Tuesday's CBS Sports Network show?
Yes,
because it was like, man, that'll sound crazy if they lose on Tuesday night.
Correct. That's right. I assessed the situation. I said, give me one more night. If we were doing the segment here today, Odom would be on the list. We're not doing the segment here today.
All right,
let me know if you need me to
I'm gonna try to text that to me.
All right, to shoot you.
Text that to me. I'm gonna learn from that. I'm gonna learn from that. It's never a loss. It's only a lesson. I'm gonna learn from that. So if I would have taken like your same approach to Tuesday's CBS Sports Network show, I would have been like, privately, like to myself in my own head, I would have thought things like Iowa State could really be the last undefeated team, but they're also playing in a building tonight where nobody ever wins, regardless of how much Kansas is struggling. People don't win there.
Yep.
Text me that. Remind me. For like, just don't text me now because I'll forget it by next Tuesday. But like, text me, and don't text me Monday night because I'll probably be caught up. I'm gonna be in the national championship game. I'm gonna be watching national championship game. Yeah. Text me Monday afternoon and then a reminder on Tuesday morning.
You text me to remind me to text you.
I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you Sunday night, and then you
text me Sunday night. The Bears game is on. Do not text me Sunday night.
Okay, I'm gonna text you Sunday morning after I get out of my scripture. I'm gonna get in my scripture on Sunday morning. Then I'm gonna text you to remind you to text me on Monday. Then I'm gonna get into my national championship game.
Yeah.
But if you text me early enough on Tuesday to remind me about what we've already texted about multiple times, I think I'll have it.
Any thoughts on Virginia?
I do have thoughts on Virginia. As I said on Inside College Basketball, if I'm an athletic director, I never want to have to replace Tony Bennett. I just want Tony Bennett to coach my team, run my program forever, right? But on the off chance, suddenly I think any of us could have got it right. You know, this ain't one of those deals where, who do you think is going to be preseason number one? You know, could it be Florida or Purdue or Houston or even St. John's? You know, there was a variety of opinions out there about that. But when it came to the Virginia job is open, who should they hire? Nobody suggested they should hire St. John's. It was always exactly what they did. And so you don't ever want to have to replace Tony Bennett, but if you have to, you hope you get it right. And it looks like they got it right. He was the obvious and perfect guy for that job. And through 17 games in year one, and it's only 17 games through year one. Yeah. Ask Mark Pope how quickly things can turn on you. But he looks like he's the perfect guy for the job.
He very much does. Virginia being good in the ACC just feels like a little bit of normalcy in this world, and we could all use a bit more of that. Can we take a turn down south into, I guess, the wildest game? Although I was watching this as I'm watching UConn and Seton Hall play, you know, right in front of me, and the reviews, it was, you know, fits and starts. Tennessee wins in double OT, 87-82 over Texas A&M. If the Vols had lost, which they did not, but if they had, I have a feeling we would have had this game much higher up in the show here, because that would have been a real issue for Tennessee. They get the win. Nate Ament finally just takes care of business in double OT. He finishes with 23. He had like 8, 9, 10 points in the
10 in the overtimes. He had 10
and then both overtimes, gets it done. Couple of blocks. A&M is playing some games close here. They won it at Auburn on the road last week with other reviews. Something about Bucky McMillan and his teams are inducing just these long reviews. But it's 87-82. Tennessee wins. The Aggies are better in year one than I expected them to be. I don't know if it's going to wind up being an NCAA tournament team. Generally speaking, they're pacing toward that. But Tennessee avoiding the loss here, I actually thought was significant. I don't think Tennessee is going to win the SEC. I don't think it's going to finish in second, and don't think it'll finish in third. But I still think, the way that it can play and just the general prep to go against them and the physicality there, it can be a real headache. Like, you don't look forward to playing that team. And I think some of the way they play is also built off of the momentum that comes with victories. And I think that would have been a big negative in their column if they had lost that game. But they didn't. They get it done, win by 5 in double OT.
The Vols out-rebounded A&M 60-35. I'm not a big fan of, like, raw rebound numbers. I think they can be misleading sometimes. But that does, like, 60-35 does tell a story. And it's among the reasons Tennessee was able to turn the ball over 6 more times than A&M, but still finished with one more field goal attempt. So I don't think you ever want to be in double overtime if you're Tennessee with a number next to your name against this Texas A&M team, but you get out of it with a victory, 87-82. Before we get out of here, we'll look ahead.
Hold on. I got a couple more. I didn't believe you didn't put it in the rundown. I don't know why you didn't put it in the rundown. Okay. Florida beats Oklahoma on the road. Just notable that they stomped them. That's all.
Florida won another game it was supposed to win. Got it.
Correct. But won definitively on the road in league play. Just want to
Florida. I did make this point last night on Inside College Basketball. If you would have looked for, if you would have been like, hey, who's disappointing in college basketball? Did that Google search 3 weeks ago? They pop up, and now it would be silly for them to pop up.
Correct. Baylor at least avoided a 4-game losing streak, won at Oklahoma State.
We had that on our air. Are you kidding me? I was in studio.
Dialed into it. Important for Baylor just to get off the schneid there. And then the most thrilling ending of the night. It went down in Minneapolis. Woo! And I love these kind of endings because there's no timeout called. Josh has it. This is the Badgers radio network on the call.
Blackwell.
With the view from the floor. Let's see how Bucky got it done in Minneapolis.
Slip. Osama leaves it for Tyson for 3 in the tie. It's good. We're tied. 4.6 seconds to play. Inbounds pass Blackwell with 3, with 2, with 1. Blackwell for the win. John Blackwell for 3. John Blackwell for the win.
That's good stuff. And if you're watching there on YouTube, that's the radio call, but also just we've the technology, the content has moved to where, okay, K. Tyson hits the 3 to tie it, no timeout from guard. Blackwell goes down, sinks the winner from NBA range, and then whomever it is with Wisconsin Athletics, they've got the camera. They're running on the floor with the team. So you kind of see it play out. It was a really, really cool vantage point. A good win for Wisconsin. Minnesota, I know Nico knows should have had that game. Wisconsin has now defeated UCLA, at Michigan, at Minnesota in successive games. Rutgers comes to Madison this weekend. It's going to be 4 in a row, and a big turning point for that program. Losing on the road at Minnesota would not have been damning for Wisconsin. It would have been in some ways understandable, but the fact that they managed to get out of there with the victory, I thought was probably the most important win of the night. That wasn't the obvious ones, because now I think Wisconsin, you do this, you got enough belief. Big Ten's going to be a bear, but you're going to win enough to get into the tournament.
We were watching this live. Needless to say, I don't care who wins. I know you do because you have a personal rivalry with Nico Medved, but I didn't care who wins. So I'm just watching the game as a neutral observer. All right, as a neutral observer in makeup. I was just watching this game, and K. Tyson hit the shot, and I was happy for him because he's an example of, like, if you hate the transfer portal and you hate transfer waivers, let me tell you the K. Tyson story. He's a young man who grew up in North Carolina and, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then
you said this on the show last week. Yeah.
Right. A mid-major player, blah, 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 blah. Went to Belmont, was awesome. And now gets the opportunity to come back to North Carolina. And I remember saying it, perhaps in the same tone. How cool is it? You grow up in North Carolina. You probably dream of being a Tar Heel. And then, you play high school basketball and you're good. Like, you're good enough to play at Belmont. But Hubert Davis ain't calling you out of high school because, why would he? But you do enough things at Belmont in this era of college athletics, you can go back home and play for the University of North Carolina.
You did this bit last week on the show.
I know, but I'm going to do it better now.
Okay. Sometimes the guy loses track of what he said where, so I just had to remind him.
I know. I'm just trying to do it better. I'm trying to perfect this.
Okay.
I'm going to go on a C.L. Brown podcast soon. I'm trying to perfect this, okay? Give me a minute. I'm trying to get this right. And you go back home to North Carolina, and you can be mad at the transfer portal if you want to, but how incredible of a story is that? And I think that's pretty much where we left it. He barely played at North Carolina. He couldn't get on the court. It was awful. He couldn't play. All right. So now he's at Minnesota and he's actually playing. He's great. He's wonderful again. I don't know why he couldn't play at North Carolina, but he couldn't. But now he's playing and he's playing well. And he hit that shot. And I was like, man, what a nice story. C.L. Brown's going to really enjoy this if I ever get to tell it to him. And then Blackwell just buried the whole thing. And that was an awesome ending. You're right. And also you're right. I probably should have put that in the rundown, but, by the time I got to this, it was
4:37 a.m. I got you.
Yes.
I'm very aware. I tried to steal 5 hours of sleep. I woke up. What's GP got in the dock? All looks good. Wait, he doesn't have the awesome buzzer beater. Okay, I'll send the video to Josh. Got it done. It's in the show. You want to take a break and do a quick look ahead before we get out of here?
And there's nothing I would want to do more right now than take a break and get out of here. So let's do that. Give me a word from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
I apologize for all these sirens. If you can hear these sirens in New York City.
Did you hear my dog earlier?
I did not hear your dog earlier.
Yeah, my buddy was dropping off a printer. I've had a printer hasn't worked for 3 years, and then when we got it was just a whole other thing. So he texted me, hey, can I drop this printer off? I said, I'm podcasting. Dog might bark. Just be discreet about it. And about 9 minutes after that, I don't know if anyone could hear it. I could hear it through my cans here. So I didn't hear the sirens. You didn't hear the dog.
It sounds like they're going to get Maduro. He's over there in Brooklyn.
I'm aware. Okay.
It sounds like they're going to get Maduro. Hey, interesting that you're getting a new printer. Tell me if this is true or not. This is a strong belief that I have. Nobody lives in a home with a printer that works perfectly.
I'm completely of that belief. This printer should work.
They don't work. If you have a printer in your home, they will not work. I don't know why. I think right now I have 4 printers in my home plus one in a box, brand new. It's just sitting there.
Yes,
and
the printer industry is a complete racket. Everyone knows this.
Can I buy an oven and that MFer will work for 20 years. I buy a printer and it will never work. I'm talking about it never
works. You get 3 book reports and then you're done.
How does nobody's printer work? I'm talking about my kids all the time are like, we got to print something. I'm like, go to FedEx. I don't know what to tell you. Like there's no way.
I'm not even kidding. I've literally, we don't need to print a ton of stuff now. Kids are getting older. That's going to change soon. I've had to go to HQ to do studio work and be like, I'll just print it there.
Yes.
It works there. I know that. It always works there.
They print out everything 50 times. If you ever want to know why Kawhi Leonard's tree company got invented, it's because of television networks printing out shot sheets.
Unquestionably. And arenas, under 16, under 12, the whole thing. No doubt about it.
I don't know how arenas and television networks get their printers to work, but it is impossible to get a printer to work in a private residence. No chance.
Not in this country, unfortunately. We used to be a proper country. Printer situation, disaster. So apparently I now have another printer in my house. I got to deal with that. Hopefully I can get that to work.
Never. You have no chance. You will never print anything from that printer. No chance. That thing would just sit in your house forever. It will print nothing.
You know what's happened here is my buddy, he's giving me the printer. This thing doesn't work. He's off.
Of course he's giving you
one less non-working printer in his house, and now I'm taking.
You think you got a buddy because he gave you a printer? Buddy, I'll give you 5 printers. I'll give you 5. Do you want 5 printers? I will give you 5 printers. I have 5 printers in my home. None of them work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the fool. I did it to myself. What do we have on tap tonight, GP?
Oh, man, I'm going to be in studio all night if I can stay awake with Adam Zucker, Roy Hibbert, and Ice Young.
There we go. That's a crew.
That is a crew. We got a triple header at CBS Sports Network. VCU at Rhode Island, San Diego State at Wyoming, Nevada at number 23, Utah State. I saw the Utah State fans. I don't have a number next to Utah State's name. And now I'm going to be in studio for a Utah State game. They're already giving it to me on Twitter. I gotta figure something out. I got some big choices to make today. Elsewhere, the sport tonight, Iowa at number 5, Purdue. Ugh. Ooh, that's going to be tough. Number 10, Vanderbilt at Texas.
It's going to be brutal for Parrish tonight.
I already know Braden Smith is going for 54 points and 17 assists. I know it's happening.
Oh, man, that's just – I'll be dialed. By the way, stay dialed in for that one as well. We got some news on Indy Cats coming later today.
So number 10, Vanderbilt at Texas. Number 14, North Carolina at Stanford. Number 4, Michigan, trying to bounce back at Washington. What interests you most from there other than the first and biggest Braden Smith, Bennett Sturts matchup that we've ever seen?
The potential there is immense. Purdue is hosting the game, and Iowa coming to town. You know, this was expected, 3 weeks ago to be a top 25 game. Not the case now, but if you love this podcast, you need to be watching that game just to see what Braden Smith does and what Bennett Sturts does. Bennett Sturts could very well have himself an awesome game.
He's going 1 of 32. Bennett Sturts is going 1 of 32.
He's not going 1 of 32.
1 of 32 with 6
He will
turnovers.
shoot better than 15% from the field in this game. I'm very confident of that.
Did you calculate 1 of 32 to 15% that quickly?
No, I'm saying no, of course not. But I'm saying he will not be remotely close to 1 of 32, and he won't. He'll be plenty better than that. He'll be at least 16% from the field in this.
Yeah, I feel like that's the type of thing I said last Tuesday, and it's been all downhill since then.
Yeah. Vandy at Texas. I said on Tuesday's show, I think Vandy we saw Iowa State's undefeated run come to an end on Tuesday night. I could be pulling a GP right now, but I think Vandy's going to lose at Texas Wednesday night. Big game for Texas. Build out a tournament resume, see if you can get it done there. You mentioned Carolina at Stanford. Duke is also at Cal. Duke at Cal, 11 p.m. Eastern tip on ACC Network.
I don't even understand this world anymore. I don't even understand the world. I don't know if you watch the news, but I don't even understand what world we're living in now. And Duke at Cal is probably the best example.
Duke at Cal. Okay, it's just
Duke at Cal is probably the best example on this planet right now of how much our country has changed.
Yes, UNC State. That is the best example.
Yes.
For your commentary on current events, world affairs, this is the show for you. And then Michigan at Washington, Pacific Northwest road swing. We see if the Wolverines get right, or if they get picked off there. That is the 10:30. It's gonna be a late night for you, late night for me. I'll be dialed in. I'll be staying up for all this stuff. Duke on the road, Michigan on the road late, Carolina on the road late-ish, Vanderbilt, Texas. A lot of these 9 Eastern. Kentucky's at LSU. Quaintance isn't playing. Jalen Lowe's out for the season. Have we even mentioned that on the show? He's done.
Yeah, he's done. They shut it down.
So you've got Auburn at Missouri. So I actually think tonight's going to be buzzier than even Tuesday. There's a lot there. And then I need to take a hard left here, but we do need to mention this. We had some tragic news in college basketball on Tuesday. Bill Courtney, an assistant for Temple. Temple plays tonight at Memphis. Bill Courtney was previously the head coach at Cornell. He was one of the assistants on the George Mason team. George Mason in the midst, 20 years later, having a fantastic season under Tony Skinnett's coach, who was the player there. Bill Courtney helped recruit him and so many of the other pieces to that team. He was an assistant on the Miami team that made the Final Four just a few years back. An extremely kind man. Always, I talked to him here and there over the past decade-ish. Whenever I needed just to check in or for something, always available. He died suddenly. It was not expected. And, rest in peace, and nothing but the absolute best to everyone who knew and loved him, his family. That's a program at Temple who's, had been on a bit of a win streak here. Hasn't lost since December 6th. And now, Courtney just joined the staff last offseason. And inside the walls of that program, like everything changes. A guy who is with you every single day, he's gone.
Yeah.
So my best to Adam Fisher and his players there. Temple does play tonight, and was really, really just. I was walking my dog, and I was checking my phone. I'm just kind of standing there, just stunned at what I'm seeing. I can't believe it. But a really, really good man, and gone decades too soon.
I think if you're on social media at all, and you follow college basketball people, it was impossible for that to miss you yesterday, and it's just crushing. Like you, I was just like going through my day, probably complaining about my day, probably like I'm tired and what all the stuff you say when you're going through a day, and then you see that, and it just hits you. And Bill had a lot of friends, and he was an important part of the sport. And yeah, that was tough. That was a tough thing to see.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thursday, not nearly as populated. That's just how the schedule goes now.
Yeah.
We've got Gonzaga on the road at Washington State, CBS Sports Network. Keep an eye on that one. I think that's really the one big.
That's it. The only ranked team playing
game.
Yeah.
CBS Sports Network has another triple header: New Mexico State at Liberty, Charleston at Towson. Charleston actually it's getting right. That's actually a good game in the CAA. So there's something worth checking out there. But it is a slow Thursday tonight. Tonight I do expect to be pretty noisy. I'd say before we get out of here, GP, let me bring up the scoreboard. I'll just give you a quick guess here on how many ranked teams lose tonight. So top 25. We got, let's see here. I went back to yesterday. Here we go. We've got Duke on the road against Cal. We've got Illinois on the road against Northwestern. We've got Carolina on the road against Stanford. We got Vandy on the road against Texas. We've got Michigan on the road against Washington. Those are the ranked teams on the road, in addition to others who are at home. I'm going to say, I'll say 3 ranked teams get taken out tonight, and we'll have plenty to talk to on Friday.
I'll take the under, but either way, we're going to have plenty to talk about.
Over under 2.5. Over under 2.5 ranked teams lose.
I'll take the under, but I also took Iowa State over Kansas last night, so like I wouldn't pay attention to what I'm saying about this kind of stuff. I've never claimed to be a good predictor. I don't really know that I've ever claimed to be good at anything, if we're being honest. All right, so don't blame me. I never said I was good at any of this stuff. Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Terry Teagle's a legend. Huck Larnell. Thank you guys once again for watching, listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. More of us than there are of them. That should be reflected in the comments. So do that, and we will talk to you again on Friday morning. No matter what happens between now and Friday morning, other than some obviously big things that could happen, we're going to talk to you again on Friday morning. Till then,